Hi, it's Pip here from queenpipcards.com. Thank you for joining me. Today I'm going to show you a quick thank you card using the new Stampin Blends. As you can see, I have them all here looking gorgeous in their pot. Aren't they just yummy? All the colours are scrummy. I love them. But first I'm just going to show you what other bits and pieces that I will be using today. So we are using Berry Vanilla and Berry Burst. These are the colours that I'm going to be putting the card together with. This is the paper. It's from a 12 by 12 stack of designer speciality paper or speciality designer series paper. It's called Bundle of Love. It's in the main catalogue and it comes in 3 designs. So you've got this one that's like almost like a leopard print or cheetah maybe. Then you've got this one that says the chevrons, see that? And this is all gold foiled. And then this one, which is, I like to think this is bubbles sparkling up and down a wine glass. And on the other side, you have the colour. It's either Blushing Bride or Soft Sky. And you get 2 each of each design of each colour. So you end up with 4 12 by 12 sheets of this, 12 of this and 12 of this. It is a bargain and it is just yummy. I've used it lots. Christmas cards I've used it with. I've used it on birthday cards, thank you cards. Last month I used the same layout actually. It's exactly the same as I used last month with my Painted Harvest card. And I'm just going to do something different with it today just to show you that you can use something you've used before but in a different way and make it look just as good. So that's what we're going to be using. I'm going to be using the stamp from Count My Blessings stamp set, which is a lovely set. I kind of overlooked it in the catalogue and so did quite a lot of my customers. And then I saw something that Celine Kempton had done in the US with this particular stamp and I thought, oh, that is just gorgeous. She had done some watercolouring and I thought, oh, that's lovely. Where's that stamp come from? Anyway, so I went back through my autumn winter catalogue and there it was looking out at me and I thought, oh, that's a really nice set. Some great stamps there for colouring or also just for stamping, you know, solid stamps and having lovely designs. So we're using Count My Blessings and then we're also just going to use the little thank you that sometimes gets overlooked in All Things Thanks. Okay, so those are what we're going to be using today, the stamp sets. I've already mounted my stamps. So here's my flower, the big flower, and here's my thank you. And we're going to be using, even though this card base is Berry Burst, the new blends come and they have 2 which are the Rich Raspberry 2. So you have a dark and a light, you have a thin and a thick end, exactly the same as with our Stampin' Right markers, but these are obviously alcohol markers, so they work in a completely different way. But also you can mix and match colours. So I believe that if I add some pink pirouette and possibly even some pale Calypso Coral, light Calypso Coral, where's my other pink pirouette? Here's my other pink pirouette. I'm going to get a colour that's fairly close to my Berry Burst. So I also wanted to show you that you don't just have to use the 2 colours that come in a combo pack. The idea with alcohol markers is that you can really mix and match them up and add more tones in. I will also be using my Old Olive for my flowers, for my stems and leaves on the flower. So those are the colours that I'm going to be using. Old Olive, Rich Raspberry, Pink Pirouette, and I'm gonna give a little bit of a light Calypso Coral in there and have a look and see how that goes. So let's put those to one side for a moment. Oh, they just look nice, you know, and they just lie nicely on your table. I'm going to move everything out the way. Obviously I'm using Berry Vanilla so that it matches with the cardstock as well. And again, that won't matter with the alcohol markers. Now you will need a Tuxedo Black Memento ink pad. And the reason for this, as I'm sure you're all aware, because I know that you've all followed my ink, my story of inks over the years. I did a presentation to Stampin' Up convention one year all about inks and the different types of inks, and you need to have an opposite ink to the ink that you're using. So if you, that doesn't sound, and that sounds confusing. So if you want to use alcohol markers to colour with, then you have to use a dye-based or water-based ink to stamp with your outline. If you were using our write markers, then you wouldn't use this, you would use our archival black, okay? But that's because the archival black is opposite to the write markers, and so the colours don't mix. It's a permanent and it doesn't mix, but it's more solvent based than the Memento. This is water based. So when you add an alcohol to a solvent base, it all merges together. All alcohol and solvents merge together and you get a grungy mess, which we don't want. But if you use a water based ink, the alcohol doesn't react with it at all, and so you get a nice crisp image and fantastic colouring. So that's what we want, obviously, fantastic colouring. So we're going to use our Memento. I did actually do a card up on my blog the other week, which actually used our normal classic ink pads with the Stampin Blends, and again you can do that because they are water-based, and so that's you know, that's basically the test. You want to use alcohol markers, you need a water-based ink. You want to use water-based markers, you need an alcohol-based ink or a permanent dye ink. Okay, so enough of me waffling on. I'm now going to stamp this, and I just want it as a single flower because I think that's going to look pretty. Plus these are going to be my thank you cards this month for my customers, so I do need something that I can stamp and then colour while I'm watching telly on a Sunday night. I generally do my colouring and assembling whilst I'm watching the NFL on Sunday night, which is only for about 4 months of the year, so the rest of the year I struggle. I have to do it all through the day and stuff. It's all very confusing for me. But anyway, so this is what I will be colouring in probably on Sunday night, so you can think of me while I'm doing that. Okay, so there is our beautiful image, beautifully stamped image, and I'm just going to go in and start working with my alcohol markers. Now, thick end, thin end, they work both exactly the same. It's just that this is thicker, it's more like a brush tip. This is a nib end. You do have to work in one area at a time. If you want to have it blending and no sharp lines, don't do one area, leave it to dry, come back and do the others. You have to work in the same area because you need it to be inky. And I've just realised I haven't put my glasses on. That might help. One moment, I'll be back. Put my glasses on. It's always a good thing. I can see. Oh, the ravages of time. Okay, so now then, that's better. So I'm going to use my thin end to start off with. So that's my thin and that's my brush. See the difference there? So we won't use the brush for the minute. I mean, I'm starting dark. It really makes absolutely no difference whether you start dark or light. It's just personal preference. And I'm just going to go in with my dark marker, basically to where Stampin' Up have very generously already told me it needs to be a bit darker because there's a bit of shadowing going on the leaf. So they've told me that's where it needs to be. So that's where I'm going to go in with my dark. Okay, always put the lid back on because you don't want it to dry out because it's alcohol. Obviously it evaporates, so you don't want that to happen. And then you're just going to go back over and start blending with your light ink. And you can see that this is just seamlessly blending in. The more you go over, obviously the more colour you're putting down. So, you know, it's up to you however much colour you want to have. If you want really light tips, you can leave that. You can also go back in with your colour lifter if you wish. And I would always try not to go quite to the edges because they can smooth over a bit, they can bleed out a little. Especially if you get them very, very saturated paper, it can. Now I'm actually using ordinary vanilla here. They do recommend that you use the thicker versions of the cardstock. But if you're careful, you can, as long as you don't oversaturate the paper and make it pill, then you can use these too. And you can see that that's just coming up beautifully. I'm just going to go up the stem. And this doesn't really need any shading up here. This is just to colour this piece in. There we go. And that's it. That's the leaves done. And now I'm going to start on the flowers. So I'm going to start, bearing in mind that I'm trying to colour coordinate with my berry burst. Oh, and always make sure that you put something underneath, like our grid paper, which you can buy in the annual catalogue. You get a big pack of it. It's brilliant stuff. But see how this bleeds out? This is absolutely normal. This is exactly what alcohol markers are supposed to do. But that does mean that you'll get it bleeding through. So don't use it on your best dining room table. Okay. So I'm going to go in with the brush tip this time. You can see how much more coverage I immediately start to get with that. Oops. I spin it round. And to be fair, I would normally use my brush tip on a bigger image, but I just wanted to show you what it looked like. Now I'm going to go back in on this one with my nib tip on the light version. And see, this is rich raspberry and it looks great on rich raspberry. Don't you think it also looks a great match to berry burst? I think it's good. Because the lighter one just lifts it slightly. Don't worry about the fact that I haven't gone quite to the edge on that. I'm going to go back to that in a minute. You can get some squeaking, so just bear with if that's going to grate your teeth. You might need to think about doing it a little bit slower and a little bit more gently, because you can. You don't have to press hard at all, actually. It just blends. You know, there's no scrubbing at it to make it actually blend. You just need to layer the colour over, and it just blends beautifully. And you can see that there's just, you know, where there's, at the moment there's a solid line there, but as you blend it, you can just see it disappearing before your eyes. It's just amazing. I have been waiting for them to sort their production issues out with their blends. You know, they did the right thing, Stampin' Up. They took them off the market when they were here previously, because they just were getting, it wasn't the quality, and they don't, you know, Stampin' Up is known for quality. They're not going to sell products if they don't believe in them and they don't think they're right. And so they did the right thing, but oh, I've been waiting for them to get it fixed and get it back. And it was purely a production issue. There was nothing wrong with the ink whatsoever. It was just they couldn't get a manufacturer that could get them a good medium to get stuff out. But these have been really well tested in the Home Office, and there's been no issues with evaporation or anything. So you can be quite confident that unless you leave the lid off, these are going to be fine. They're not going to run out or evaporate on you. So as you can see, it's not taken me that long to do this, even on camera. Okay, so now the last thing you would probably do at that point is then go back in with another colour. But I just want to show you that you can with blends, and you can put some lighter tones in if you wanted to. You know, you can really kind of lighten it up, just to add some different kind of textures and bits in. And you can see how they're developing the colours. Isn't that amazing? So, you know, you'd never be able to go and put a light colour on top of a dark colour with any normal pen, and you'd get it all over your tip, but here there's nothing on your tip, it's just normal. So they're just genius, really. I love them. Can you tell? Okay, so I'm just going to put a little bit of light in there. I don't actually need my coral. I think that's going fine. And then I might go back over with a dark pink pirouette just to bring a bit more. It's kind of lifting that just a little bit too much than what I want. Okay. Every colour that you add will tell a different story, and every one will be, you know, different and unique. Put just a little bit more berry burst back in there, because that's berry burst. Oh, look at me. Not berry burst, it's rich raspberry. There we go. But don't they look realistic? Aren't they great? So you can see that with actually just two sets of markers, three sets of markers, sorry, two, the rich raspberry and the pink pirouette, I've named all mine because they've been to class already. So Pink Pirouette, Rich Raspberry and Old Olive. Look at that. That's just beautiful, I think. It goes really well. Okay, so now we're going to assemble the card and you can see the final outcome, as it were. So my little thank you is going to use the actual Berry Burst ink, so it picks up that colourway and takes that through the whole card. And then we're going to just use the classic label punch here. Turn that over so I can see where I'm putting it. And I'm just going to punch that out. And then I just want to do a little different edge to this. So I'm going to pop it back through. Can you see? Back through the hole. You can just then whip off a small end. So now I've got like a little arrow shape like that. So that's what I wanted. Yeah, and then that's pretty much it, done. We'll take that little piece away. We'll just fold our card base over and burnish. Where's get my little bone folder out. There we go. Burnish that. Nice. Check your front and your back. And as always, actually I have been using fast fuse a lot recently. I like to use it on the front of cards, as it helps to not have quite so much liquid on your card. Sometimes you can get things a little liquidy. So let's do that. And see how that's come through at the back there, but that's perfectly normal. And you know, it won't harm your card in any way, but it might harm your table if you left it on your table, so don't do that. There we go. And that just gives us a nice border that side, and then I'm going to just pop that up on some dimensionals. Gotta have a bit of dimensionals going on. Now this is quite a large piece of cardstock here that I'm using to stick down, so you will note that I do use a lot of dimensionals. They're so cheap, guys. You know, you get 100 for a sheet and you get 3 sheets in a packet. And not only that, if I post this to somebody, the last thing I want is to have a soggy middle and a saggy middle. I have enough of that on my own. So I don't want that on my cards. You know, I want my cards to be sturdy when they go through the post. So I always use enough rhinestones, enough dimensionals to make sure that it stands up properly. So don't skimp on them, that's what I would say. I'm going to use a little bit of fast fuse on this side of this label, and then these just so cute little have I done that the right way around? Yeah. So cute, these cute little mini dimensionals, which are tiny, but they're absolutely perfect for using with the that classic label punch. Okay, so get the edge of my, oh, did I move that a little bit further over? Come on, Pip, you can do it. There we go. Just want that to come just in there. There we go. So there we go. That's my little thank you card. I might put a few rhinestones on there or something like that, or maybe actually some pearls would look lovely. So so yes, I'll pop some pearls out when I can find the pearls. There we go. Some of these will look nice, I think. See, I'm designing on the fly here. Did you see that? Do you notice what I'm doing? Because actually I really wanted to just give this a go this afternoon, and I thought, do you know what, I should film it so that you guys can see how I'm coming together with my card. So that's what I'm doing. So there we go. And I just love the fact that, you know, the pearls pick up the dots of the stamens of the flowers, and the dots of the stamens of the flowers pick up the dots that are in the paper behind, and I think that looks just yummy. So yeah, that's my little thank you card. That'll be going out to people who order from me this month. If you'd like to purchase any of the items, you can just pop onto my shop, either queenpipcards.com, and then click on my shop link, or you can go www.queenpipcards.com shop.queenpip.stampinup.net, and also click on my shop link. Either of those work. It's still me, it's just my Stampin' Up site or my personal site. So there you go. Have a play, have a think what colours you would like in your Stampin' Blends, and yeah, buy them because they are fabulous. Alright, thanks very much for watching. Take care. Bye.